All right. So, who would like to? We're having a interactive devotees self-realizations program on Ram Navami, Shri Ram Navami. Please, if you can show yourselves, your moonlight faces would be very nice. Hare Krishna. Okay. So, who would like to kick off the program, please? Feel free. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Babu. Is that okay if I start, Babu? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Abuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Babu. Thank you, Amrish Babu, Purnavarna Devidasi, and Krishna Samparvan Krishna Babu for your continuous support for fallen soul like us to be engaged in some kind of service. Very imperfectly, though. Okay, so happy Ram Navami to all of you again. And I was just talking to someone in India, and there's a big celebration happening in India at the moment, Ram Navami. It's more like some sales going on. Everything just changed to Ram Navami, as if everybody is Ram conscious. But anyway, coming back to serious discussion, what we do, try to engage ourselves in studying scriptures and what the scripture has to talk about Ram Navami and Ram. So Maharaj told me at the very early stage of my journey into Krishna consciousness that everything is given in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. You don't need to go anywhere else. And I said, no, how is possible? And when I started reading, and as I started reading more, I started realizing more. And then I realized that actually everything is given. In fact, it is given more than what I can actually understand, read, study, digest, even maybe many lifetimes. So Ram Navami, we have been giving realizations every year. And so I thought, what should we actually talk about Ram Navami? And what comes to my mind to start with is the Ram Rajya. I said, okay, what is Ram Rajya? Because at the moment we are struggling in the material life, in the Kali Yuga, as it progresses, the wars going on, the disease, the epidemics, the financial crisis, everything, everywhere, problem. So there is no problem for a devotee. So I was thinking about Ram Raj, and I was thinking what we can. And I looked at scriptures, and which very elaborately, Shukdev Goswami briefly writes about Ram Raj, and then how that Ram Raj looked like at that time, and how that relate to our problem. It's very nicely given, and how actually Prabhupada has written in purport that how that Ram Raj can be brought into even the Kali Yuga also. That's Prabhupada also giving that alternative to us, what we can do. So I'll start with the Canto 9, Chapter 10, verse number 53, and actually 51, 52, and 53. They talks about Ram Raj once Ram has taken over the kingdom of Ayodhya, and what happens after that, and how things. So very nicely, Shukdev Goswami is explaining. So verse is like this. Tretayam varna vartamanayam kalah kritsamo abhavat Rame rajani dharmagye sarvabhuta sukhavahe. Tretayam vartamanayam kalah krita samo abhavat Rame rajani dharmagye sarvabhuta sukhavahe. So I'll quickly go to the translation because I want to cover 2-3 verses. And conscious of the time factor. So translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Ramchandra became king during Treta Yuga, but because of his good government, the age was like Satya Yuga. Everyone was religious and completely happy. So imagine a situation where everybody is religious and completely happy. That is, then Prabhupada writes in the purport, which I'll come back to this later. And the next verse is 52. Vanani nadyo girayo varshani dvipa sindhuvaha sarve kama dugha asan prajanan bharatarshabha. Vanani nadyo girayo varshani dvipa sindhuvaha sarve kama dudhas asan prajanam bharatarshabha. So in this verse, the word which actually, before I go to translation, I wanted to share is the word called Varshani. Varshani means, where is Varshani? Various parts of states or division on the surface of earth. That's how the name Bharat Varsh came from this word. I remember last time we were discussing about our scriptures and how these are all this entire world is actually related to those Vedic things. So Bharat Varsh means where Bharat was there. And translation of this verse: O Maharaj Parikshit, best of the Bharat dynasty, during the reign of Lord Ramchandra, the forest, the rivers, the hills and mountains, the states, the 7 islands, and the 7 seas were all favorable in supplying the necessity of life for all living beings. And this is the crisis the world is facing now. I'll read the translation again before I come to my realization. O Maharaj Parikshit, best of the Bharat dynasty, during the reign of Lord Ramchandra, the forest, the rivers, the hills and mountains, the states, the 7 islands, and the 7 seas were all favorable in supplying the necessity of life for all living beings. So there was no environmental crisis in Ram Rajya. And how that happened, I'll come back to this. So that was in the Ram Rajya situation. And now the verse number 54. Nadhi vyadhi jara glani dukha shoka bhaya klamaha mrityush chanchi mrityush shani chantam nasi Rame Rajanya Bhukshaje. Translation: when Lord Ramchandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was the king of this world, all bodily and mental sufferings, disease, old age, bereavement, lamentation, distress, fear and fatigue were completely absent. There was even no death for those who did not want it. That is Ram Raj. Unbelievable. We just can't imagine this kind of situation. So I'll read it again just to re-emphasize the thing. When Lord Ramchandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was the king of this world, all bodily and mental suffering, disease, old age, bereavement, lamentation, distress, fear and fatigue were completely absent. There was even no death for those who did not want it. So that what happens when Supreme Personality of Godhead is ruling the world. Ram Raj. And how that Ram Raj actually was prevalent at that time, what Ram did. And Prabhupada writes in the purport of verse number 51, that what actually was happening, and then how our scriptures give us a clue that how this Ram Raj can be implemented. This one significant difference is that the leader was Ram. There is no leader like Ram at the moment. The biggest difference is the leadership. So in the purport, Prabhupada emphasized about Varnashram Dharma. Varnashram Dharma is actually answer to all those problems. If by hook or crook, this Varnashram Dharma can be implemented, we will go back to Ram Raj. That is not me, that's Prabhupada saying. And in Varnashram, there are two words, Varna and Ashram. Ashram is not in our control. We get old and accordingly we are in that ashram. We can call it that we are in that ashram, even if you are not into. But as soon as the question of Varna comes, when you have to choose what you are, when you become something, we have all the problems. Because that's bodily recognition we have. Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So, why it is so difficult to actually get this Varnashram going? And Prabhupada talks about this. But before we come to this, I'll also refer to this because I discussed about Treta Yuga situation, and before what was the situation in Satyug, and how this is actually related, and how and what is happening in Kali Yuga. So among the four yugas, Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali, the Kali Yuga is the worst. But if the process of Varnashram Dharma is introduced even in this age of Kali, the situation of Satya Yuga can be invoked. The Hare Krishna movement or Krishna conscious movement is meant for this purpose. Prabhupada is writing this in the purport. So quickly, just to re-emphasize and bring this point, that what was those four things which were implemented in all those Satya Yuga, we had austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. But as soon as we got in Treta Yuga, the austerity was gone. And same in Dwapar Yuga, only mercy and truthfulness, and in Kali Yuga, only truthfulness. So there are three legs gone. But Prabhupada says, and he gives reference also to a verse from Canto 12, Canto 12, chapter 3, verse number 51. So I quickly read the translation. So, my dear king, although Kali Yuga is full of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. So that's what Bhagavatam is talking about. That's what Prabhupada is saying, and that's Bhagavatam is talking about, that how it can be done. And we all somehow or other, whenever I talk to new devotees or whenever I talk to somebody who has been practicing Krishna consciousness for some time, or whenever, it depends how sincerely they follow, they actually feel the difference when they are sincerely following this Krishna consciousness in a bona fide way. And we all experience this. And whenever we discuss all those things, these things, actually we can feel it. We are transient. Prabhupada writes further in the purport that why this happens, because as soon as you are engaged in devotional activities, this Varnashram is not applicable to Vaishnavas because they transcend these situations. So I don't know, means because once you are a Vaishnava, you are not in those modes, provided you are a Vaishnava. And that's why they experience this kind of situation. And they somehow, means all those things which I talked about, that how Ram Raj existed, they can actually see it, and they can actually feel it. Now, Krishna also gives a clue. I'll quickly finish this with a reference from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse number 13. Very famous verse, which talks about this, how this varnas, Vashram, not Varnashram, how these Varnas has been created. So that verse is Chatur Varnyamaya Srishtam Guru Karma Savibhagasaha Tasva Kartaram Api Mam Vish Vidhi Akartaram Avyayam. According to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, the four divisions of human society were created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. So this Varnashram Dharma has been, means Ram Raja was in Treta Yuga, and Krishna telling in that toward the end of the Dwapar Yuga about this Varnashram Dharma. And Prabhupada writes, and even the purport of that's verse number 51 in Canto 9, Prabhupada writes that this was further emphasized by Lord Gauranga, And Prabhupada writes, this is the blessing of Lord Ramchandra, who has appeared in the age of Kali Yuga as Lord Gauranga. So this process of Varna, the Varnashram Dharma, the Varnas, this comes out because of our mode. And what I understand, these modes we already have. This not me, this is Bhagavad we are talking about. We take birth with a mode, we take birth with a consciousness. And our problem is that how do we find a way to come out of this conditioned life, those modes, so that we can experience Ram Raj. So Prabhupada further writes one more line which I would like to read, which is very practical. So human society is similar to any other animal society, but to elevate men from animal status, the above mentioned divisions are created by Lord for the systematic development of Krishna consciousness. So it's not only about the Ram Raj. In fact, without Varnashram Dharma, even the Krishna consciousness cannot be followed. Even if we become devotee, we may not understand it. And we have discussed this point many times. I remember those discussions. And so that's what when I was thinking about Ram Navami, I said, what should I say? And I thought Ram Raj. Ram Raj is, of course, there is no leader like Ram. And we are responsible for choosing those leaders. So problem is very serious. We are all part of this problem. We are all suffering. And Krishna giving solution, Prabhupada telling us all those things. So I would wish that we can understand those scriptures on this auspicious day of Ram Navami and work on the path of becoming Krishna conscious and follow the Guru Shishya Parampara in a proper way, so that we can experience that those personality faced when Lord Ram was ruling. That's my direction. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Vinasha Prabhu. Thank you very much for your nice realizations. Ram Rajya. We all want Ram Rajya without Ram. When we don't want to change our Ravan Rajya, our own behavior. Hare Krishna. Oh, Madhavendra Puri Prabhu is here as well. Hare Krishna. From Vrindavan, you're giving us darshan and blessings from Vrindavan. Very nice. Happy Ram Navami to you. You're celebrating today. We'll be doing it tomorrow. In New Zealand, it is tomorrow. That's the Tithi. We're doing it in our program today. So 2 days for us. Okay. So please feel free if you want to jump in and give your realizations. You've been part of our program in the past. So you know. Okay. Yes, Prabhuji Madaris, if you can show your moon-like faces and please give your realizations as well. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I just want to my realization for that Ram Navami. Can you able to hear now? Oh, correct. See, when we say Ramachandra appeared in this, in the dynasty of, we are all know in that Maharaja Katwanga. First we just a little bit brief, little bit go back and what Ramachandra, how, and when the Lord descended in this world, actually it's not come alone. Even if you take Krishna or even in his expansion or in his avatara, he comes with association. Like even Ramchandra, when he came this world, his expansion, like a quadruple expansion, like you see, like a Ramchandra and Lakshmana and Bharata and Shatrugna. And Lord Ramchandra and his brothers are all Vishnu Tattva. We are all Jiva Tattva, he is Vishnu Tattva. As we know, the Supreme Personality of Godhead expands into many forms, as he says in the Brahma Samhita, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam. There are many millions, his incarnation, his expansions. And who will understand this expansion? Whose really realize those things, this information. Only the Tattvadarshis. Tattvadarshi means who knows the absolute truth. That's what he said, Bhagavad Gita. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upedekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So the Tattvadarshi means is self-realized soul. Those who serve the Supreme Master, inquire from him submissively and in complete knowledge of absolute truth. So unless one is in Tattvadarshi, one cannot, describe the activities of the personality of Godhead. Sometimes you see Lord Ramchandra activities are described in terms of one's own imagination, speculation, or material sentiments. But the characteristics, of Lord Ramchandra should not be handled as something imaginary. Say, when soldiers of Lord Ram's army, constructing a bridge, to go to Lanka, by throwing all the stones, soldiers, to stones and trees, branches, and by mercy of Lord Ram, it is constant, it is floating. Now if you put a stone in the river, it immediately goes down. But see the mercy of Lord Ram. And not only that, it is proved. And many scientists in this world, they analyzing how these big planets are floating, like a swap of, like a cotton swap, they can't understand. Still, they can't understand. They're not accepting there's a God, there's a Godhead. These are all the problems, in the societies. Many people, even though God appeared and proved himself in this world, many things, but still they are not. Because if the planets, big planets are floating by the mercy of the Lord, after all, small stone can't float on the river by the mercy of the Lord. Yes, it is. He can do anything and everything he likes because he's not under the control of the material nature. Indeed, material nature is controlled by him only. Say in Bhagavad Gita, they said, Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam. Only under his direction does prakriti or material nature works. And one more one important character of understand of Lord Ram, ekapatni rata, see, accepting only one wife. One should not accept more than one wife when Mother Sita, more than one wife. When Mother Sita was kidnapped by Ravana, Ram could have married thousands and hundreds of Sita, goddess of Lakshmi. But to teach us how to faithful, he fought with Ravana, and punished him and rescued his wife. See, this is one important for in our life, in our human life, to understand these things. This setting an example of householder, especially householder should live according to the ideal principle of Ramachandra. As Ramachandra is the ideal husband and Mother Sita is the ideal wife. such combination makes family life very happy. Yet again, Bhagavad Gita said, yet acharati shrestha taddat evataro janaha. Whatever example a great man sets, common people will follow. And
I think by mistake he got disconnected. We'll wait a few minutes, couple of minutes for him to connect back. Here we go. Yes, Prabhu, you unmute yourself, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, we can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself, Madhavendra Puri Prabhu.
can you able now?
Yes, now we can. Please.
Sorry, suddenly it was shut down. I don't know why. Because we are here. That.
No problem. Vrindavan is transcendental. And Prabhuji, your screen is moving. If you can keep it steady somewhere properly, then
Okay.
don't move so much. Yeah, thank you. Hare
Okay. Thank you. And the next one, see, what I was discussing. Okay, life, how common people should follow. Okay. So, like the next one, I wanted to talk some little bit like a Bharat, Shatrugna, and Lakshman, the qualities, and see, we'll discuss the qualities of Bharata, Shatrugna, and Lakshman, and what these represent. When Ram was sent to the forest and informed, to Bharat, when Bharata came back to see his mother, and Kaikeyi pleased him to become a king because Ram went to the forest, and Bharat was so angry with that. How can you do this one? Without Ram, how can you do this one? Ram's service is the supreme, and anything which keeps away from the Ram, is like a big burden. And soon he left to the forest, Bharat, and many people, many citizens, they're talking, criticizing Bharat. Oh, because of him, Ram went to the forest. Even actually there is no fault on Bharat, but still Bharat accepting the criticism. That means he is having that quality of tolerance. This is how we have to understand tolerance. In our devotional life, many things will come across, obstacles, but we have to tolerate. That's what the Lord Gauranga said. Taroropi sahishnuna. That is, we have to tolerate in all the time. Whatever obstacle comes, then we have to keep moving our devotional service. The next, this is a tolerance Bharat have, and the next one is Lakshman. What is Lakshman qualities? We have to understand in Ramayana. It is not that just simply read Ramayana and hearing Ramayana and after that we leave. No, it is not like that. We have to adopt those principles in our life. So, see, Lakshman character, what Lakshman character? See, as soon as the news came, Ram about to go to the forest, Lakshman, I wanted to come with you. He did not hide somewhere else in the palace. Let Lakshman go, then I will send some, I will follow then. And also he did not say, why I attached to the Ram? I should have attached Bharata, because Bharata is staying in the palace, He did not say like that. As soon as he came to know the Lord Ram, to go to the forest, what he said in Ramayana, Sundarkand, Gitayam Agnim Aranyam Va, Ya Yadi Ramam Pravekshiti, even when there is a forest fire, Ya Deeptam Agnim Aranyam Va, in the forest, first I will go first, It doesn't matter whatever, the rain or fire, whatever, I will go first. And then what? Pravesham Tatramam Devi Tvam Purvam Avadaraya. See, Ramana, this is very important. Ramana describes how, Ram is entering forest fire. That means he doesn't say, oh, let's go, Ram, I will send ambulance, 111. I don't know why I'm in New Zealand it's called 111 is Prabhuji? Ambulance, 111. I'll send ambulance, he'll take care. It's not like that. See, when you have a service attitude, whatever situation, doesn't matter whether Vaishnava or Acharya or whatever, or deities, it doesn't matter. We have to step in without any, thinking back. This is Lakshman qualities. Whatever, there are many pastimes when he was in with the Ramchandra and Sita Mata in the forest. But I am not taking all these details. I'm not saying, but some of the points I just like to, to understand. Just want to know what Lakshman qualities is. And he immediately left to the Ram, and he is serving without any sleep, even 14 years. If we can read, even Prabhupada discussed many places, and he given the lectures, Prabhupada, and how Lakshman qualities are there. He is actually giving example to the devotees, how we can, to the serving the spiritual master. This is the Lakshman qualities. And the next, actually, Lakshmano Lakshmi Sampanna. That means what? What is that meaning of Lakshmi Sampanna? Ram lost the opulence of Ayodhya, but Lakshman gained the service, opulence to serve the Lord. This is, this is called a Lakshmi Sampanna. And next one is Shatrugna. As you say, Shatrugna, Gachata Ma Tulakulam Bharatena Tadanaga Shatrugna Nitya Shatrugna Niti Priti Puruskruta. And Shatrugna is when Ram and Lakshman was away, he is serving the Bharat when they are in the palace. That means he's got humility. That means you should have that quality of humility. Bharata having the tolerance, Shatrugna, Lakshman having the service attitude, and Shatrugna is humility. And one thing Shatrugna means enemy. But Shatrugna, how many enemy killed Shatrugna? Is only one Rakshasa, Lavanasura. That's the only he killed. And that's all. But most of that time he is serving humbly. And he having humility on those, Bharat, and constantly serving the Bharat. These are the points I realized this today. And Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhavendra Prabhu. Thank you very much. It was very, very nice. What can we learn from all the four brothers, the Chaturvyu expansions? And also Shatrugna, remembered, is the one who found and inaugurated Mathura city first time after killing Ravanasura. Jai. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, who would like to step in now? Please feel free.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Happy Ram Navami to all of you. So this is a very important occasion, and I was just actually listening to the devotees. Thank you, Avinash Prabhu and Madhvendra Puri Prabhu, for your very nice realization. And thank you, Amrish Prabhu, for actually organizing and giving us opportunity to share our own realizations. So, as it is said in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving this body, take his birth again in the material world, but attains my eternal abode, Arjuna. So this is the instruction given by Lord Krishna. So actually knowing the pastimes of the Lord, and especially we are getting this very wonderful opportunity to actually listen to the pastimes of Lord Ram, and we do the same on all the major festivals. So as I feel very fortunate that actually we are hearing the realization of the devotees, because just listening to the kathas sometimes do not help. We hear and we forget. But actually understanding the truth in these pastimes and actually the learnings that we can take, that will actually help us. Our own devotional service is very, very important. So thank you, Avinash Prabhu and Madhvendra Puri Prabhuji. Actually, the way you described Ram Raj and qualities of the four brothers. So actually, when I was studied, actually, I realized this point as well. Actually, I heard because of this Chatur view expansion, when I read, this time I understood it properly. So actually, first thing, actually, when we think of Lord Ram, even before actually I came into Krishna consciousness, in India, it's very famous, Lord Ram. Everybody knows Lord Ram. And actually, when I was school, the thing that I actually learned, from my elders, that actually whenever they talk about Ram, my grandfather used to say, Ek Vachni, Ek Patni, Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram, and I actually, it had, it was, I always remember that. And now we're realizing what that means, Ek Patni, which actually Avinash Prabhu Madhvendra Prabhu very nicely explained. So from actually character of Lord Ram, there is so much to learn. And I think it is for us to actually try to actually learn and try to implement, how to become an ideal householder. So he actually, Lord Ram, by his own example, he showed us actually how to become an ideal king, ideal householder. And actually he was very obedient, just to keep the word to his father and actually his mother as well. He took the sannyas, not sannyas, sorry, he went to do the vanvas for 14 years, and he's a supreme personality of Godhead. And actually there is so much to learn, because in this material world we always come across various material problems, and sometimes it becomes very difficult to accept it. We always complain or actually try to make a peace with it. Even we know, now we know the philosophy, we have to see the Krishna's hand in everything, but it's very hard to see when you're actually struggling. So I think this is something I have to, I learn, even the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you cannot imagine, actually going into the forest for 14 years, Even if we go into the forest, not trekking all that, we make sure everything, there is a toilet, there is a drinking water, shoes and everything. But that wasn't the case, They voluntarily accept all these austerities, Lord Ram. So he has actually taught us, we should not actually, we should accept the will of the Lord, as it is. And because in this material world, everything is temporary. And it is said that actually, when we are facing all these problems in this material world, it is like an illusion in a dream, It's bound to finish one day. So we have to just focus on our devotional service. So in Ramayana, actually, then the Valmiki Muni, so it's very famous. And I heard this story actually when I was I was in school, in Marathi actually, Valyacha Valmiki zala. So I was actually meditating on that point, and actually means, as you know, actually Valmiki Muni initially he was a robber, actually on a highway, actually street. He used to actually kill people and take their things and all that. So it's very, he used to do very simple activities. But fortunately, and he came, he got in, he got the actually association of Narad Muni, who is a great sage, and he instructed him to actually chant the name of Lord Ram, so he can actually purify himself, and actually he will save himself, with all these sinful reactions. So it's a very famous story. I won't go into detail. The point that I understood that actually is amazing to see, somebody who's very, very sinful, who made his living by killing other people, and actually try to con them and take, steal their belongings and all that. That's all he used to do. And actually, then when he got that actually fortunate opportunity to associate with the pure devotee of Lord, that actually changed his entire life. So Srila Prabhupada also always say that, the moment's association with the pure devotee can change your life. And that is a very, live, actually very famous example we have, that actually he became a Valmiki Muni who wrote the Ramayana, and we all glorify him now. So what was a qualification of Valmiki Muni at that time that actually he changed? So I was also listening to Radhanath Swami Goswami Maharaj, actually, one of his lecture, and he also very nicely described that actually the qualification there is actually he sincerely followed his Guru's instruction, because initially he couldn't even able to spell the word Ram, he used to say Mara, Mara, and actually that person was so attached to killing people, and his consciousness was so polluted, but he realized that because he's so close to death, he could chant Mara but not Ram. So he made that actually, he asked him to chant Mara, Mara, and eventually it will purify him. So he was actually trying to chant Ram, but actually he was chanting Mara, Mara, Mara. And in very small span of time, actually, then he able to pronounce properly Ram, Ram, Ram. So actually he received the Lord Ram's mercy, and only qualification he had that he sincerely followed the instruction of his Guru, and he did it very with all his heart. So that is something we need to learn, that actually if we get in touch with the pure devotee of Lord that we are now, actually we are actually learning from Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev and all the senior devotees who are very dedicated in Krishna consciousness. So the instruction we receive from them, if we follow sincerely, it can also change our life. If he can become a pure devotee, we can as well. So that is actually what I learned from that past time. I was also actually, Ms. Ambrish Prabhu actually who told us, this is actually the prayer by Tulsidas Goswami, Rama. Just a minute. Rama Swarup Tumar. So this is sung by Lata Mangeshkar, and I was actually reading the translation. If you listen, it is very beautiful, very intense. Actually, if you focus, I loved it actually and I realized this is all Bhagavad Gita philosophy, what is actually described in that prayer, where actually Lord Ram asked Tulsidas Goswami, where should I reside? And then he actually replied that actually, first, Lord Ram, I humbly ask you to tell me or show me the place, where you are not present, and then I will tell you where you should reside. I will just briefly actually condense it because of our time limitation. So he actually told him later, because Lord Ram, he's being a supreme personality of Godhead, he's actually unlimited. We cannot know him. He's undescribable. So he said that actually the devotees, actually whose ears are always filled with actually listening to the actually pastimes of Lord Ram, just like actually the rivers are actually filling up the ocean constantly, but they never overflow. So the pure devotees who are actually never tired of listening to the pastimes of Lord, in his heart, actually you should you should find a home in their heart, whose eyes are actually always thirsty for just one look of Lord Ram, just like a chatak bird, who's very anxiously waiting for a drop of rain, is staring at the sky, with that intensity, the actually devotees who are very eager to take the darshan of Lord Ram, and whose nose is always filled with the sacred, fragrant offerings done to the Lord Ram. So these are actually the 9 processes of bhakti, like engaging all your senses in service of the Lord. The devotees who only eat the prasadam, which is first offered to the Lord Ram, and who always actually have a firm faith in Lord Ram only in their heart. In his heart, Lord Ram, you should reside, with Sita Mata and Lakshman. Actually, the devotees, actually whose hands are always engaged in serving Lord Ram, whose feet always take them to the holy places of Lord Ram, in their mind, you should actually enthrone yourself. That's what actually Tulsidas Goswami was actually, saying to Lord Ram. So it's very beautiful to listen, and actually there's so much philosophy, and it's quite a lot to learn. And he also said that actually the devotees, after doing all this, who only have one desire, that actually all their devotion should be actually only pointed at the lotus feet of Lord Ram. Such devotees, you should actually live in their heart. The devotees who do not have like a greed, envy, lust, anger, all these actually anarthas, they are without this, and who have actually without any deceit or hypocrisy or fraud, in their heart you should live. And he goes on to say at the last, I won't take too much time, but the last point where he said that the devotees, the last couple of points are very important, where he says that who actually give credit to Lord Ram for all the good qualities they have in them, and actually they take the responsibility for all the bad qualities what they have in them. So these are the actually pure devotees, and they only desire nothing but effortless natural love for you. So in their heart you should reside, and that's your true home. So that's what actually the message, that's what actually he replied to Lord Ram. And this basically summarized the qualities of pure devotee of the Lord Ram. And I think I have a lot to learn, So if you want to actually want to have the Lord Ram appear in your heart, then actually this is the formula is given here, what are the actually qualities. In Srimad Bhagavatam, I was going through that in Canto 5, chapter 19, verse 7, where Hanumanji was actually narrating this. I just read the translation, where he says, one cannot establish a friendship with the Supreme Lord Ramchandra on the basis of material qualities such as one's birth in an aristocratic family, one's personal beauty, one's eloquence, one's sharp intelligence, or one's superior race or nation. None of this qualification is actually a prerequisite for a friendship with Lord Sri Ramchandra. Otherwise, how is it possible that although we uncivilized inhabitants of the forest have not taken noble births, although we have no physical beauty, although we cannot speak like a gentleman, Lord Ramchandra has nevertheless accepted us as friends. So this is actually, actually a very beautiful prayer. And Lord Ram, actually what he's saying here is, he does not look at your material possessions, even your beauty or actually your where you are born, what position and or wealth you got. So he do not need anything. He do not care about anything. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada very nicely described the only qualification is actually the desire to serve the Lord, sincerely, the pure devotional services, the pure devotional service. Anya bhilashata shunnam, jnana karmadi anavritam, anukulani krishnanu shilanam bhaktiruttama. So without any material motive, if we serve Lord Ram, then that is the only chance that actually we can have Lord Ram to appear in your heart, So that is the actually success of our life. And this is all philosophy, but actually there is a lot to learn, Actually, we know, what we need to do to actually get to the stage that actually Lord Ram is actually interested in you. Because with the present condition, we are very much actually limited by a lot of anarthas that are actually accumulated, on our heart, because we still have a lot of material desire. We still actually hanker for money and wealth and all that. But because we are learning this philosophy, somehow there is a hope that we try to control ourselves and actually we try to get in line. That one day we should able to actually renounce all these things, and that is actually the most important thing. Even where actually in the pastime of Lord Ram, actually the point of this effortless love, is very, very important, what is described there. That I was thinking about this point, the effortless love, without making an effort, how could you love the Lord? Because now I have to push myself to love Krishna, Even I don't have natural love, I have to push that I love Krishna, I have to convince myself that I love Krishna, and I have to push myself to chant. But the only, I think, what gives me relief is all this philosophy that I read, all the realization that I hear. If the person like Valmiki, he was robber, he can actually turn himself in a pure devotee. Then we are actually, there is hope for us as well that we can actually turn things around, and at least we can able to purify ourselves, and actually one day, maybe with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, and Lord Krishna, we can become a pure devotee. It's very ambitious to say that, but we should not actually give up. We can actually fight these things, because in today's world, actually, not especially nowadays, last couple of years, that things are going haywire everywhere, and it's we see. Amrish Prabhu already actually gave us heads up a couple of years ago that things will drastically change, and that already happened, and it is look like it's going to get even worse and worse. So, but thing is that because we are actually engaged, somehow Amrish Prabhu is engaging us in all these services. I think we are not that much affected by all this. We can see a lot of the things that are going around in the world because of COVID and this Ukraine war and all the inflation and the mortgage rates going up. The people are under big pressure. They're actually struggling to meet their actually daily needs. But we are not that much affected. We are actually doing. We have enough to carry on our devotional service. That is the mercy that we receive. So I only actually pray, that somehow this actually what is the message is given here, that pure devotee desire, that the effortless love, actually even the Lord Ram's father, Dashrath Maharaj, when actually Vishwamitra come to see him, and where he actually asked for Lord Ram to actually come with him into the forest to kill those demons, he was very attached to Lord Ram, and even he knows that he's a supreme personality of Godhead and nobody can actually defeat him. But his love for him was very natural, his parental love. So actually, we also have the same love for our children, but we have to actually direct that at Lord, because he is our ultimate father. He's our ultimate, savior. So that is a point actually, I was meditating on that. Actually, there are a lot of examples, the pure devotees have a very natural love for Lord Ram, but that is what we lack. And that is something we should aim for. So that is my realization. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Shita Prabhu, for your nice realizations. It was very nice. Hare Krishna. Many points you covered. We have a lot to learn. It's not just Katha, from Lord Ram. Jai. Hare Krishna. Yes, who would like to? We've got someone new also. Is it Path's brother has joined, Navina Prabhu? Pratyush Mishra.
Yes, it is Pratyush here.
And we've got your son also come. What have you done, man? Prabhuji?
No, it's
What
all
have you
the
done that he has come
brother
today?
you, Prabhu.
How come Pranshu Prabhu has come today, Pranshuji? Pranshuji, what have you done that you come today? We must make you wear garland now. Oh, you are there. I saw you.
Sitting next to me.
Just trying to reconnect. Hare
Try to
Krishna.
reconnect. Hare Krishna. Okay, Jai. Very nice. Your daughter's all right. We keep meeting her in the program once in a while.
Yeah, she's okay. She's just outside.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Okay, so let's continue. And as we said that today we were celebrating two programs. One is today, which is celebrating Rama Navami in India, and tomorrow it is in New Zealand. Of course, it'll be working day for everywhere, but we're starting from 7:30 in the night to 9:30, and I'll be speaking for my purification on some of the instructions on Lord Ramchandra and his pastimes. Yeah, but India time would be very different. I think 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's in the middle, Let's see how we go. Hare Krishna, we'll be there. Okay, who would like to continue? Please feel free.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Happy Ram Navami to everyone. And thank you very much to Avinash Prabhu, Madhavendra Prabhu, and Srila Prabhu for your very, very nice realizations. I certainly learned a lot listening to all three of you, so thank you very much. Due to the time constraint, I won't take too much time, but I just have a small realization on this auspicious occasion of Ram Navami. I'll just be taking a reference from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, verse 23. So I'll just read the verse in the translation and then say my realization. Hare Krishna. Asmat prasada sumukha kalaya kalesha. That's wrong too. Asmat prasada sumukha kalaya kalesha. Ikshvaku vamsha avitarya guror nideshe. Tishtan vanam sadaye tanuja avivesha. Yasmin virudya dashakan dara artim archat. Asmat prasada sumukha kalaya kalesha. Ikshvaku vamsha avitarya guror nideshe. Tishtan vanam sadaitanuja avivesha. Yasmin virudya dasha kandara artim archat. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Due to the causeless mercy upon all living entities within the universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with his plenary extensions, appeared in the family of Maharaj Ikshvaku as the Lord of his internal potency, Sita. Under the order of his father, Maharaj Dashrath, he entered the forest and lived there for considerable years with his wife and younger brother. Ravana, who was very materially powerful, with 10 heads on his shoulders, committed a great offense against him and was thus ultimately vanquished. As actually mentioned, I think by all three of the devotees today, that the Lord appears in the material world in his different incarnations. Madhavendra Prabhu said, he doesn't appear by himself. He appears with his associates. And in the case of Lord Ram, the three other brothers, Bharat, Shatrughna, and Lakshman, were his Vishnu Tattva, or his plenary expansions. So they were not ordinary human beings as well. They were also his own plenary expansions. And we also know from previous festivals and previous realizations and incarnations of the Lord, that the Lord comes down to the material world for a certain purpose. So what was the purpose of Lord Ram coming down to the material world? I was just meditating on that. And Srila Prabhu mentioned in his realization that Lord Ram exhibited the ideal qualities of a king. And so even Avinash Prabhu said that in the current world, we have so many authorities who are abusing their power, who are not ideal leaders. And that's the reason why we find so many problems in the world today. So even back 2 million years ago when Lord Ram appeared, this was the same situation. There was an unscrupulous order in society. And so Lord Ram came to show the correct way of doing things. And we all know the pastimes of Lord Ram. We know that the day before him, that he was supposed to be crowned king as the eldest son, due to a benediction given by Maharaj Dashrath to KK, that actually this Lord Ram had to take exile for 14 years in the forest. So one of the qualities of Lord Ram was that he was completely renounced, and that even though the day before he was to be king, he completely renounced it and he accepted dutifully the order of his father and the situation that was present. I think Srila Prabhupada also said, if we're faced with such a situation where we are very attached to whatever position or anything we have, we would not react in the same way at all. So this is one example of how Lord Ram was showing the ideal way of a king is to be completely renounced. Another thing that I would like to mention, and this is also mentioned in the purport of this verse that I quoted, is that Sita is the goddess of fortune, and being the internal potency of the Lord, that Sita as a goddess of fortune is to be worshipped along with the Lord, not to be enjoyed by us, by living entities, or by jiva tattvas, or those that are in the material modes of nature. So actually we should not be chasing after the goddess of fortune without, we should be in fact worshipping the Lord. And so this is actually in the pastime of Ramayana, we see that Ravana was chasing after Sita without accepting or acknowledging the supremacy of Lord Ram, or the authority of Lord Ram. And that's why Lord Ram, even though, as I mentioned, his quality of detachment being completely renounced, because Ravana was abusing that and trying to take the goddess of fortune without accepting the authority of the Supreme Lord, he destroyed Ravana, he killed him. So in the same way for us, at least for me, what I understand from this pastime, and which is very much said by Srila Prabhupada, through which I realized this, is that if I want to chase after material prosperity, or if I want to be do all these material activities, be ambitious, etc., without acknowledging the supremacy of the Lord, without keeping that in mind, that this is all through the authority of Lord Krishna, everything is Krishna's plan, as I think Srila Prabhupada also said, then there is of no use, and actually it's very, very bad to do so. So this is something that was that really struck me when I read this, that for us to realize that we must actually always recognize the authority of the Lord in whatever capacity that we have, in whatever advanced stage that we're in, that we can be ambitious. Yes, it's not to mean that we just give up everything and surrender, because it's not practical in this day and age. But whatever ambitions we have, if we ultimately recognize that it is being provided by the Lord, and that we utilize whatever we have, whatever capacity we have, in service of the Lord, monetarily or in whatever way, then that process, or then our existence becomes much more spiritual and much more purified. So yes, this on this auspicious day of Ram Navami, this is what I'd realized. And my mother is very, very attached to Lord Ram. because of a lot of these things as well, because of how dutiful he was as a king. I'm sure her realization will also be very insightful in that way too. But yes, that is my realization on the day of Ram Navami, and Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Krishna, for nice realizations. Very nice. Good to see youngsters also sharing. Hare Krishna. Oh, you have Pratyush Prabhu here, showing his face. Nice to see you. Hare Krishna. My name is
Hare
Ambarish.
Krishna. Hare
Your
Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Your uncle always talks about you. He's very sincere and all. Nice to see you. Hope you are able to attract your intelligence in our programs. Hare Krishna. Youngsters are the way forward. Not that we are old, but we always have to think about second and third generations. We cannot start thinking when we are very old. It's too late. Hare Krishna. Okay, so who would like to share your realizations? Please feel free.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Ambrish Prabhu. Thank you for organizing this class and giving me a chance to share my realization. And thank you, Avinash Prabhu, Madhvendra Prabhu, and Sheetal Prabhu, and Krishna Smarpan Krishna Das Prabhu for sharing your nice realizations and very so much to learn, so much to take. and as Sheetal Prabhu also shared that these practical aspects of realizations or these pastimes need to meditate upon, so we can take something and implement in our life. So I want to share. It's not very big realization, and because today is a very auspicious day, Ram Navami. So Bhagwan Ram Chandra appearance day ki jai. Sita Ram Lakshman Bhakta Hanuman ki jai. So today we are meditating on Lord Ram and his pastimes. Although Supreme Lord possesses unlimited qualities and powers, I want to share a pastime when King Dashrath decided to coronate Lord Ram. Before that, actually, Lord Ram returned to Ayodhya with Mother Sita, and all the subjects in kingdom were happy. And 12 years passed after the marriage of Lord Ram and Mother Sita. Then King Dashrath one day saw a gray hair in the mirror and decided to coronate Lord Ram. Then he discussed with his ministers, and everyone agreed immediately that Lord Ram should be coronated. And then they described the Lord Ram's qualities. Lord Ram has, the first one they said, Lord Ram has forgiveness like earth. Like Mother Earth, we take so much and pollute all the resources. We drill Mother Earth for water, oil, minerals, etc. Still Mother Earth forgive us. Lord Ram is like this. He's the ocean of forgiveness. Second, Lord Ram is a giver of pleasure, like moon. Moon has potency to give strength in vegetation. Moonlight is very important for fruits, vegetables, flowers, and trees. Moonlight is cool and pleasing. So Lord Ram is like moon. It's giving pleasure. Third, Lord Ram is like Brahaspati in intelligence. Like Guru, he's a guru of demigods, Brahaspati. And Lord Ram is like Indra in strength and power. So these few divine qualities, Lord Ram has been told to King Dashrath. King Dashrath became very pleased after hearing these qualities and decided to coronate Lord Ram immediately, like very soon. Generally, we have seen people become envious hearing Lord good qualities or good things about others. But when Father hears good qualities of his son and people praise the son in front of Father, Father gets very proud and happy. Although Lord Ram is Supreme Personality of Godhead and giver of pleasure to everyone, but people are envious of Lord Ram also. That what happens next in Ramayana when Manthara encouraged Kekeyi to send Lord Ram in exile. So this is another example of what can happen in this material world. No one can predict. Everyone of us, everyone was happy in Ayodhya without aware of what going to happen next. Similarly, when we are in good times, and if we do not take precautions, good times turn into bad in no time. Because miseries are inbuilt in material happiness. So that's why the maintenance department is very hard. And Lord Vishnu take in charge of maintenance by himself for this material world. So Lord comes in different avatars to maintain order in this world. Lord Ram has showed us ideal human life as a husband, son, king. And Ramayana is the story of which must be taught everywhere, because to have peace and have a harmonious society, we need an ideal. We need ideal examples. And Maryada Purushottam Ram is the ideal in every aspect. You know, householder, king, very obedient, as we heard before in other realizations devotees shared. So for a good society, we need to concentrate on these aspects or the good qualities of Lord Ram. Although Lord Ram is Supreme Personality of Godhead and he got all the good qualities. And we have, we actually, because we follow this bhakti path, so we try to implement those, and we try to walk on the footsteps of previous acharyas and try to implement these regulative principles in our life, so we can follow Lord Ram's the way he showed. So so it's very short realization. I realize. Sorry, I can't show myself. I'm at work. So thank you, Prabhuji. So that's what I realized. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Sanjay Prabhu. And you could find time from your work as well to give your realization. It's very good. Actually, it was very nice. Hare Krishna. Yes, who would like to be next, please? Because we've got 45 minutes, so if we don't spend time in waiting, we jump in, then we can save the time, you know. Sorry, I'm the accountant. Timekeeper accountant. Hare Krishna. We can't hear you.
Sorry. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for your wonderful realizations, as always. It was very nectarian. I will be reading from my phone, so probably my video will go off. So just want to start my realization by saying Jai Sitaram, Lakshman Bhakta Hanuman ki Jai. So Srila Prabhupada has explained why we worship Lord Ram. And Srila Prabhupada says that although Lord Ram was certainly the ideal king, we do not worship him for this reason. Srila Prabhupada states Maharaj Yudhishthir was also as good as Ramchandra, and Maharaj Parikshit was also as good. There were many such kings, but we are not concerned because he was a king. He is the king of all the kings, Parameshwara. Because he is God, therefore we are observing today, that is Ram Navami, in a Ram Navami lecture in Hawaii, 27th March 1969. Lord Ramchandra exhibits all of the opulences of the Lord in full. He has limitless strength, wealth, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. And all of these he demonstrated in his pastimes. He was also renounced that although he was the most beloved crown prince of Ayodhya and the ideal future king, he renounced everything without hesitation for a life of austerity in the forest. However, although Lord Ram is completely renounced, another important lesson to learn from his pastimes is what happens if someone other than the Lord attempts to enjoy the energy of the Lord. Lord Ram was completely renounced, but when the demon Ravana kidnapped Ram's wife, Sita Devi, wanting to enjoy her, Lord Ram completely destroyed him. I would like to recite one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 19, verse 4. Yatad Vishuddhanamo Matramekam Swateja Sarvashta Gunavavastam Pratyak Prashantam Sudhyo Palanam Anarupam Nirham Prapadye. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Lord, who is pure form, Satchidananda Vigraha, is uncontaminated by the modes of material nature, can be perceived by pure consciousness. In the Vedanta, he is described as being one without a second. Because of his spiritual potency, he is untouched by the contamination of material nature. And because he is not subjected to material vision, he is known as transcendental. He has no material activities, nor has he a material form or name. Only in pure consciousness, Krishna consciousness, can one perceive the transcendental form of the Lord. Let us be firmly fixed at the lotus feet of Lord Ramchandra, and let us offer our respectful obeisances unto those transcendental lotus feet. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I'm just going to read part of the purport, and then I'll give my realization further. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, appears in various expansions as stated in the Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, verse 39. Ramadimrite sukata niyamena tishtan nanavataram akharoda bhuvaneshu kintu Krishna swayam samabhavata paramapumanyo govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda, who is always situated in various incarnations, such as Ram, Narasimha, and many sub-incarnations as well. But who is the original personality of Godhead known as Krishna, and who incarnates personally also. Krishna, who is Vishnu Tattva, has expanded himself in many Vishnu forms, of which Lord Ramchandra is one. We know that the Vishnu Tattva is carried by the transcendental bird Garuda and is equipped with different types of weapons in 4 hands. Therefore, we may doubt whether Lord Ramchandra could be in the same category, since he was carried by Hanuman, not by Garuda, and had neither 4 hands nor the Shankha, Chakra, Gada, and Padma. Consequently, this verse clarifies that Lord Ramchandra is as good as Krishna, Ramadi Murti Sukala. Although Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ramchandra is not different from him. Ramchandra is unaffected by the modes of material nature, and therefore he is Prashanta, never disturbed by those modes. Unless one is saturated with love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot appreciate the transcendental value of Lord Ramchandra. One cannot see him with material eyes. Because demons like Ravana have no spiritual vision, they consider Lord Ramchandra an ordinary Kshatriya king. Ravana therefore attempted to kidnap Lord Ramchandra's eternal consort Sita Devi. Actually, however, Ravana could not carry off Sita Devi in her original form. As soon as she was touched by Ravana's hands, she gave him a material form, but she maintained her original form beyond his vision. Therefore, in this verse, the words Pratyak Prashantam indicate that Lord Ramchandra and his potency, the goddess Sita, keep themselves aloof from the influence of the material energy. So I've been focusing on this qualities of Lord Ram and Lord Ramchandra and Sita Devi, and also Lakshman and Hanuman, because I feel like they're inseparable. You know, when we also pray, we always say Jai Sita Ram Lakshman Bhakta Hanuman Ki Jai. And I cannot think of one without thinking of the other. So as also pointed out earlier by the devotees, I was thinking that for me, when I was a very small child, from then, this imprints of Lord Ram were thrusted upon us. We were told stories about Lord Ram, and I remember one thing which I've probably shared earlier as well. One thing as a small child, I still remember that whenever we used to go past any place, and if we were scared to go or anything like that, then I remember my mother or even my elders, whoever I was with, they would always say, just chant Ram, 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 Ram. And this was, maybe I was less than 10 years old, definitely. Maybe 5 years old or something, 5, 6 years old, but I still remember this imprint on my mind. And I used to chant the names at that time, just say loudly. Also, they used to say, chant loudly, Ram, 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 Ram. And I remember doing that, like if you're going from one place to another, especially if you're going and staying in the village sometimes in the holidays and all that, then you, if you're scared to go from one place to another because it's dark and after sunset, there's no electricity in villages. So I used to chant loudly, Ram, 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 and then just go from one place to another. And it was a miracle for me as a child that by taking that name of Lord Ram, there was no fear. I mean, I cannot explain. It's just an experience, And that just, in my innocent mind, that time as a child, left that imprint on me that, yes, if I'm scared, I know what to do. I have to just chant Lord Ram's names loudly, Ram, 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 and that's it. And it's just amazing after listening to Srila Prabhupada and coming into contact with Srila Prabhupada, realizing the importance of the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And the potency of the chanting of the holy names certainly is an experience I'm sure everyone has, but it's a miracle that is happening in my life daily. So when I was thinking about, when I'm thinking about the pastimes of Lord Ram, that he was such a righteous king, as Avinash Prabhu was saying, Ram Rajya. At that time, I was thinking that this Lord Ram, and then he comes with his entourage, with all his paraphernalia, all the devotees who come to serve him. And so we are also trying to be devotees of Lord Ram and Sita Devi. And we're trying to be devotees of devotees of devotees of devotees. Das, dasa, no das. So if we are trying to do something in our lives, then we study and we see and we observe what are these devotees doing. And as rightly mentioned earlier by the devotees, I think Madhavendra Prabhuji, Prabhuji mentioned about Lakshman and Sita Mata and Hanuman and how they serve Lord Ram. And this is why I feel that they're inseparable. I cannot think only of Lord Ram when I'm talking about Lord Ram. So coming from the perspective of trying to be, aspiring to be a devotee of the devotee of the devotee, or the servant of the servant of the servant, I think when I look upon the servants of Lord Ram, I just feel that they are themselves just amazing and magnanimous. And what can we learn from them? So as much as the quality that I think about Lakshman and Sita Mata and Hanuman, I think was that they were trying to serve Lord Ram, but they were not in the forefront. They were in the background. His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj says this about us being a servant. Being a servant means that you should do all the work, but nobody should notice you, that you're even present, and still the service is done in an impeccable manner. So for Lakshmanji, for Sita Mata, there was no existence without Lord Ram. They considered their existence only and only because Lord Ram was there. Their existence was to serve Lord Ram. And if Lord Ram is not going to be there, then there was nothing else for them to do. And so I was thinking this is a point where we want to take our devotional service to a point where we should not be thinking of anything. At least for me, I want to try to come to that level of devotional service where I'm not thinking about myself, whether this is good for me or good for my devotional service. It doesn't matter. When it's service, means it is to someone else, not to yourself. So I hope I develop that same mode of Lakshmanji and Sita Maya and Hanumanji, and the faith that Lord Ram had in them. So when Lord Ram went to the forest, I'm sure that the whole of Ayodhya wanted to go as well, right? But ultimately, Lord Ram took only Lakshmanji and Sita Maya with him further. So we should also make ourselves in such a position that the Lord is ready to receive our service. And we should make ourselves eligible to receive that the Lord should be eager to receive our service. And then also the point where all the battles that were fought between Ravana and his brothers, Lakshman was always in the forefront. And also Hanuman, as a devotee of Lord Ram, just showed so much strength and valor just by being the devotee, just by taking Lord Ram's name. He performed all the pastimes in Lanka. He burned the whole of Lanka and created so much fear amongst the people there. So how much is the power of the devotee? of the Lord. You know, as the stones, the Prabhuji was saying that the stones were, the name of Lord Ram was written, and just by the potency of Lord Ram, they were floating. So yes, so I was meditating on this point that somehow, with the mercy of all the great devotees and Vaishnavas, some stage in my life, I should be able to achieve even 1% or whatever minimum percent of that mode of devotional service where it's unmotivated and selfless and unconditional. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Purnabhagya Devidasi, for your realizations and realizations. Hare Krishna. So who would like to continue?
Hare Krishna, Amrish Prabhu.
Yes.
I was talking to this devotees of intermediate class, and they tell me that they thought that this program is for senior devotees to give realization. I said, no, you can also give realization. So was it not like that?
Yes, it is true, but I don't want people to jump, you see, in the studies. So to give realization, they'll jump to Bhagavatam here and then Ramayana there, and ultimately they become all hodgepodge. It's better to listen and let it boil in them. I want to give one day, I want to give one day. I realize seniors also do the same, but at least we approved them. They are preaching now, so they can't wait, you know. So that was my point, nothing else. No other reason. It's for their benefit. It's very hard. It's very hard to be perceived by people as hard. He's a very hard man. We're training what to do. Am I right? All your students who want to become engineers, you start your engineering college. On the first day you want to become an engineer straight away, but you can't. You have to go through that process. You know? Yeah. And you say, I know the same thing. I know. What is this? You know, Ram, everybody's speaking Ram. I know. Yeah, that's right. Chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the same. Pure devotees chant the same. But the process is very tricky. That is the only reason, nothing else. So when you start studying and you progress from intermediate to leaders program, and in between also, once we are satisfied that, then we can give you some points. We can give you the pointers what to prepare from, and you can give, you know. Otherwise, no, I'm strictly against it. To jump, you know. Prabhupada doesn't allow this. My Guru Maharaj doesn't allow it. I don't allow this. Hare Krishna. But thank you for asking Avinash Prabhu on their behalf. Yes. Namrata wants to say something?
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for all your nice realization. Sorry for it. I just prepared a small realization. But thank you, devotees, all of your nice realization. I was reading the lecture of His Holiness Radhanath Swami, and this lecture was included in yesterday's Saturday's Marathi program, our weekend Marathi program as well. So I heard the pastime of the Lord Ram's. There's an incident, one of the pastime of Lord Ram, when Lord Ram was only 16-year-old. That time, Vishwamitra was Vishwamitra visited to King Dashrath's kingdom, and then he asked that, can I take your son Lord Ram to kill the demons who are in the forest? And then King Dashrath, he said that he's only 16-year-old, but somehow taking the advice from Vashisht Muni, Vashisht Muni told King Dashrath that Vishwamitra is very powerful and he can kill the demons, but he's taking Lord Ram so he can glorify him. And somehow the King Dashrath is convinced and he's allowed to go with the Vishwamitra. And then after that, Lord Ram killed all the Rakshasas, and then he surrendered to Vishwamitra, and then he accepted Vishwamitra as a guru. And then as what I think about that, even the Lord Ram, it's mentioned in the lecture as well by His Holiness Radhanath Swami, that Lord Ram is so powerful. He knows the present, past, and future, and everything, as well as Krishna as well. But they still accepted a guru in their life. So that question I also had when I was very young, and then there was a serial going on in the Doordarshan, that Sri Krishna, and I saw that incident that Krishna goes to the Sandipani ashram to study, and then at that time I was thinking about the Krishna. When young age, Krishna is killing so many demons, and he knows everything. He's doing so many leelas. Why he need a guru? And then when I was reading this lecture, I was also like, it's clicked me that time I did not thought more about this. So why Lord Ram is accepted guru? So the Lord Ramchandra is the, sorry, I'm just reading. So Lord Ram accepted as a guru to set the example for us, to show us the importance of guru in our life. What guru, because guru always show us a path to attain the spiritual, to understand the spiritual life, and to understand the aim of our life. And I remember, like, we have Shiksha Guru, and then we have our spiritual master as well, and we have Srila Prabhupada. So I remember that 10-15 years back, I got the book Science of Self-Realization, and then I tried to read it. That was given by my sister, and she didn't understand. I did not also understand. And when I got married and come to New Zealand, and I started Namahata and Amrish Prabhu's class, and then I started to understand the Science of Self-Realization book that time. And then I realized, yes, you cannot, and also Bhagavad Gita and all. So that time I also realized that we cannot understand any scriptures without Guru, and then we have to surrender to understand the scriptures and aim of our, ultimately our aim of our life. So from this pastime of Lord Ram, I understand the importance of Guru in our life. Hare Krishna, that's my small realization.
Thank you very much, Mother. Hare Krishna. Yes, anyone else would like to speak, please? Okay, looks like nobody's wanting to speak, or somebody's there now.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and thank you everyone for sharing such nice realizations. It's really heartwarming. My realization on this Ram Navami Mahamahotsav is very, it's not a very nicely prepared one, but I'll share anyway. Sri Ram, who is present in every atom of the universe, comes down to this material world and acts like a human being, thus showing his wonderful, glorious activities to please the devotees. Lord always enjoys being with his devotees. Lokabhiramam ranrangadhiram Rajiv Netram Raghuvanshanatham Karunyarupam Karunakarantam Shri Ramachandram Sharanam Prapadde. Translation: I take refuge in Sri Ram, who is pleasing to the people, who is calm and composed in the battlefield, whose eyes are like blue lotuses, and who is the Lord of the Raghu dynasty, who is an embodiment of compassion and showers his compassion to all. I take refuge in the lotus feet of Sri Ramchandra. We can learn so many things from his exemplary life. He is an ideal son, ideal disciple, ideal husband, ideal king. We can learn being calm and composed in any situation from him. Material world will always drag us down, but if we are calm and composed, then we can bounce back quickly. His compassion is boundless. Even when he is in the battlefield facing Ravan, he gives Ravan last chance to take shelter unto him. But arrogant Ravan doesn't accept it, and then Sri Ram has to kill him. No one is compassionate like Sri Ram. He has done so much bad things with Sri Ram, and he kidnapped Sita Mata and did so much things, but still Sri Ram he was ready to forgive him even in the battlefield. So this is his compassion. Nidam yasho raghupate suryan yanchya Leela tanor adhik samya vimukh dhamnah Raksho vadho jaladhi bandhanam astra pungai Kim tasya shatru hanane kapaya sahaya. Lord Ramchandra's reputation for having killed Ravan with showers of arrows at the request of the demigods, and for having built a bridge over the ocean does not constitute the factual glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramchandra, whose spiritual body is always engaged in various pastimes. Lord Ramchandra has no equal or superior, and therefore he has no need to take help from the monkeys to gain victory over Ravan. Shri Ram shows us even a very insignificant entity can be instrumental in achieving any success. Only the full faith has to be there. His army had full faith in him, and Ram had full faith in his army. So this is the relation between a devotee and God. Life's highs and lows will always be there. We see how the world would be crowning king, who king has to leave everything behind and go to forest for 14 long years, but he never deviated from his dharma. We have to remember that our devotional service has to go unmotivated and uninterrupted in all situations. पुरुषो रामचरितं श्रवणरूपधारयन् आनृष्यंस परो राजन् कर्मबन्धैर्विमुच्यते. O King Parikshit, anyone who actually receives the narrations concerning the characteristics of Lord Ramchandra's pastimes will ultimately be freed from the disease of envy and thus be liberated from the bondage of fruitive activities. And I realize there are so many bad things deep rooted in my heart, and may Lord Ram uproot the deep rooted envy, greed, and lust from my heart, and always engage me in his and his beloved devotees' loving devotional service. That's my prayer to Shri Ram. Shri Ram Mahamahotsav Ki Jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mother. Thank you very much for nice realization. Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll wait for 10 seconds. If devotees have given theirs, if devotees wanting to give, then I will say something.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to give. You were just quiet for so long. Please give.
Thank you, Amrish Prabhu, for giving us an opportunity to give this nice realization. And thank you for all the devotees. They have given very nice realization. My realization is from one of the Srila Prabhupada's lecture, and also Srimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, verse 10, chapter 10, verse 53-54, which Avinash Prabhu has already given a nice realization on Ram Raj. So I'll just read the translation. Srimad Bhāgavatam, chapter 9, verse 10, 53. When the Lord Ramchandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was the king of this world, all bodily and mental sufferings, disease, old age, bereavement, lamentation, distress, fear, and fatigue were completely absent. There was even no death for those who did not want it. So Srila Prabhupada was saying that time there was no death unless and until you want that you don't want to stay, then only, you can have a death. Otherwise, the people used to live for thousands and thousands of years. Also, Srila Prabhupada says that Rama Navami is the best prime opportunity for our spiritual advancement and purification. That's what Srila Prabhupada says. I remember, Ram word I used to listen right from my childhood, but I never used to be in Krishna consciousness or about the God. Whenever there is any difficulties in my families or in my village, so people always used to chant Ram. Even if there is a heavy rain, still people used to chant Ram. When there is a bad things happening, people continuously used to chant Ram. Even my father, lately before departing from this world, he always used to chant continuously non-stop Ram. So But then later on, when the association, I think Prabhuji has mentioned that how the association is really important in our life. And when I came to Krishna consciousness and started chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, so I realized what is really the important in our life. So Srila Prabhupada says that there is no difference between his form, his name, his pastime, and himself. He is absolute. Therefore, either you chant the holy name of Ram, or even you can see the deities of the Ram statue. And one must always talk about the pastime, about the Ram, transcendental pastime. Everything that means, I mean, when you're talking about the Ram, when you are going to the temple, that means you are associating with the Supreme Lord of Godhead. So we must take this advantage when there is the incarnation of God appears or disappears. We must always try to associate with the God. What is that association means? Association means we become purified. Our process is purification, and Krishna consciousness means we are purifying our consciousness in association of the pure devotees. By associating with the Lord Ram and his appearance day, through hearing and speaking about his pastime, chanting the holy name, and seeing his deity form, Vaishnavas can be purified and further develop their love for the Lord. Ramchandra appears in a different mood. In his incarnation, the Lord's activities are such that ordinary and materialistic person cannot find any fault with him. Rama sets an example of perfect life, perfect king, perfect husband, perfect son, perfect friend, and master, which I think earlier devotees has already mentioned about how Bharat, Lakshman, and Shatrugna, they were in service of the Lord, though they were not in front four, but they always used to with association with the Ram. So the Lord Ram, he obeyed his father's command. He stepped aside from the throne on the eve of his coronation and to go to the forest in exile for 14 years. Because he was very honest, he was dutiful in every way. Even when he came back from 14 years of exile from the forest, he was ideal king. His good governance, everyone experienced happiness. Even I remember one of the Srila Prabhupada's lecture, Srila Prabhupada was saying that even daytime, then when it's to be rain comes, daytime is to be sunny and rain is to always come in the night time. So that is the mercy of the God. Who else can do that? We always talk about the Ramraj, but that never is going to happen. But Srila Prabhupada says, yes, Ramraj can be happen, provided you serve the Lord, be association with the devotees, and chant always Krishna's name. So Lord Ramchandra exhibit all of the opulences full. He has limitless strength, wealth, fame, beauty, and knowledge. All these he demonstrated in his pastime. He was so renowned that although he was the most beloved crown prince of Ayodhya and the ideal future king, he renounced everything without hesitation of life, austerity of the forest. However, although the Lord Ram is completely renounced, another important lesson to learn from his pastime is that what happens other than the Lord attempts to enjoy the energy of the Lord. Lord Ram was completely renounced, but when demon Ravan kidnapped Ram's wife, Sita Devi, wanting to enjoy her, so Lord Ram completely destroyed him. So one should not dare to do in such a way. Sita is a Lakshmi, goddess of the fortune, but she is never to be enjoyed by any other living beings. She is meant to be worshipped by living beings along with her husband. Like materialistic people like Ravana does not understand the great truth. So finally he has to suffer when though the Lanka was in pure gold, I mean, he was so materialistic. Lanka was into pure gold, full materialistic wealth, but because he did not recognize the supremacy of the Lord Ramchandra, and he tried to defy him by stealing his wife, Sita Devi. So finally, all his opulence and powers were destroyed by Ram. So this pastime enacted by Lord Ram teach that success can only be achieved in service of the Lord and never through attempts to enjoy the Lord's energy. Hare Krishna, this is my relation.
Thank you very much, Supan Prabhu, for your realizations, nice realizations. Hare Krishna. So we'll wait 10 more seconds for anyone who wants to say anything. Realizations, please. Okay, so before we finish today's program, I wanted us to hear a couple of prayers on Lord Ram, which His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj had sung, So we will put on the screen the prayers, and I think I can do screen sharing for you guys. Okay, all right. Hare Krishna. 1 second, please.
Nanyam spruha Raghupate.
Just hold on, please. Something is going wrong. Can everyone see this? Just put a thumbs up so that I know that you can see it. Hold on. Yes, now you can see now.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Let's hear now.
Hridayasmadiye Nanyam spruha Raghupate. Hridayasmadiye Satyam vadami cha Bhavan Akhilantaratma. Bhaktim prayacha Raghupungava Nirvaram Kamadi dosha rahitam kurumanasam cha atulita balakamam hema shailabadeham dhanujavana kushanu jnaninam adraganyam sakala guna nidhanam Vanaranam Adhisham Raghupati Priya Bhaktam Vatajatam Namami.
Very nice. This was sung in Auckland so many years ago. Maharaj must have been in 80s. Okay, now one more. There's a very famous bhajan on Sri Ram. I will do that too. It's about 10 minutes odd. Yep. Ramo Rajmani Sada Vijayate. Okay, you can sing along if you want to with Maharaj. Hold on, please.
Ramo Rajmani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Viyata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Maha Ramanasti Parayanam Parataram Rama Sada Sosmyam Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavatu Me Bhoram Mam Uddhara Bhoram 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 Mam Uddhara Bhoram Mam Uddhara Dakshine Lakshmano Yasya Vame Tu Janakatmaja Purato Marutir Yasya Tam Vande Raghunandanam Tam Vande Raghunandanam Tam Vande Raghunandanam Charitam Raghunathasya Shatakoti Pravistaram Ekaikam Aksharam Pusam Maha Patakanashanam Charitam Raghunathasya Shatakoti Pravistaram Ekaikam Aksharam Pusam Maha Pataka Nashanam Valmiki Giri Sambhuta Ramambo Nidhi Sangata Srimad Ramayani Gangam Srimad Ramayani Gangam Punati Bhuvanatrayam Punati Bhuvanatrayam Shri Ramayanam Ganga Punati Bhuvanatrayam Punati Bhuvanatrayam He Ram He Ram He Ram He Ram He Ram मृगं काञ्चनम् आदौ राम तपोवनादि गमनम् अथवा मृगं काञ्चनम् वैदेही हरणं जटायुमरणं वैदेही हरणं जटायुमरणं सुग्रीव सम्भाषणम् सुग्रीव सम्भाषणम् वाली निग्रहणं समुद्रतरणं लंका पुरी दहनम् वाली निग्रहणं समुद्रतरणं लंकापुरी दाहनम् पश्चात् रावण कुंभकर्ण हननम् एतद्धि रामायणम् एतद्धि रामायणम् लोकाभिरामम् रणङ्गधीरम् राजीवनेत्रम् रघुवंशनाथम् कारुण्यरूपम् करुणाकरन्तम् कारुण्यरूपम् करुणाकरन्तम् कारुण्यरूपम् करुणाकरन्तम् श्रीरामचन्द्रम् शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीरामचन्द्रम् शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीरामचन्द्रम् शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीरामः शरणं समस्तजगतां रामं विना का गति रामं विना का गतिः श्रीरामः शरणं समस्तजगतां रामं विना का गतिः रामेण प्रतिहन्यते कलिमलम् रामाय कार्यं नमः रामाय कार्यं नमः रामाय कार्यं नमः रामात्रस्यति कालभीमभुजगो रामस्य सर्वं वशे रामे भक्तिरखण्डिता भवतु मे भूरां त्वम् एव आश्रय eva ashraya. Shri Ram, Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram, Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram, Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. Jai Bolo Sri Ramchandra Bhagwan ki Jai. So nice to sing the glories of Sri Ram.
Hare Krishna. See, at the age of 80 plus, and Maharaj would say, you people don't sing properly. What is the matter? I'm 80 years and I'm singing like this. This is how. I think it's very befitting that we conclude our today's Sri Ram Navami program with His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj glorifying Sri Ram in India. So we are very fortunate that we can hear all you wonderful devotees give your nice realizations, and Maharaj concluding so nicely for everyone's benefit. Hare Krishna. So now we will sing Maharaj, Maharaj, please hear us. And tomorrow, by Srila Gurudev's excellent College Mercy, we will meet again. If you can meet, it's a working day in India, it's a midday. So, it's too much. So if you can, that's fine. If you can't, we are here. It's for our purification that we do. And we'll be speaking, singing, and glorifying Lord Ram as Maharaj would inspire us. Hare Krishna. So whose turn is it to sing today? Maharaj, Maharaj, please hear us. I don't know if Sanjay Prabhu is outside. Dwali Mataji is there.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, it's Subhadra's turn. I think I'll just call her. Prabhuji, she's ready to sing.
Okay, she's ready to sing. All right.
बाद में कर लेना. Leave it. बाद में कर लेना. Come here. Madhav, can you do your work?
Tell me when you're ready, Mother. We can unmute you and you can show yourself. Children can sing. Navina, कशी आहात तुम्ही?
छान आहे. तुम्ही कसे आहात?
मी पण छान, ठणठणीत आहे. आता काहीतरी नवीन बातमी सांगा मराठीमध्ये. काय शिकला तुम्ही मराठी? काहीतरी नवीन शिकला का तुम्ही मराठीमध्ये बोलायला? येत नाही हा? फॉरेनर झाला आता. ओके, वी आर रेडी नाउ. ओके, सुभद्रा, हरे कृष्ण सुभद्रा, कैसे हैं आप? ठीक है?
यस.
नाइस, अच्छे हैं, अच्छे. माधव, हरे कृष्णा माधव, आप स्क्रीन में आ जाइए. तो स्क्रीन में आ जाइए. सुभद्रा दीदी के बात कर रहे हैं. ओ एंग्री है. ओ माधव इज एंग्री. मुझे बाबा.
Come here. Boy, Papa is watching you as well, Mother. Papa is watching you. Look, come, smile.
No. Or everybody, whole world is watching you in YouTube now. Not only Papa.
Stay. Chalo, so you start.
Okay, Subhadra, 1, 2, 3, start.
Maharaj, Maharaj, please hear us. Maharaj, Maharaj, please hear us. We have learned some real good stuff. We have learned some real good stuff. Maharaj, we have learned one thing. Maharaj, we have learned one thing. And today for you we will sing. And today for you we will sing. If our room is clean, we can do anything. Then our mind is clean. Then our mind is clean. If our mind is clean. If our mind is clean, we can do anything. anything.
We can do anything.
If our room is dirty, then so are we.
Then so are we.
But if we are dirty, we are not happy. Wasting time.
Wasting time
is the greatest crime.
is the wastage mind.
Is the greatest crime. Wasting, again, wasting time.
Is the greatest crime.
Is the greatest crime.
Because wasted time.
Because wasted time
means a wasted mind.
means a wasted mind.
Your time.
So this is your time. When you're in your prime.
And your whole life will be so right.
Will be so right.
If our wealth is gone.
If our wealth is gone.
Then there's nothing wrong.
Then there's nothing wrong.
If our health is gone.
If your health is gone.
Then that's a different song.
That's a different song.
If your characters die.
If your character dies.
Then the world will cry.
Then the world will cry.
Only saintly behavior.
Only saintly behavior.
Let humanity thrive.
Let humanity thrive.
We must always remember Krishna.
We must always remember Krishna.
And never forget him too.
And never forget him too.
But how are we to practice this with so many things to do?
But how are we to practice this with so many things to do?
That is the greatest question.
And that is the greatest question.
And here's the greatest clue.
And here's the greatest clue.
Let's learn how we can live in what the Krishna won't depart.
No. Again.
Sorry.
We must learn to walk so nicely that Krishna remembers you.
Bless you.
If something
If something to use tomorrow.
If something due tomorrow.
Finish it today.
Finish it today.
Whatever's due today.
Whatever's due today.
Do it now. Don't delay.
Do it now. Don't delay.
Might be lazy.
Your friends might be lazy.
Or doing bad things.
Or doing bad things.
But if you think again,
You think again.
don't follow them. Don't follow them.
Not if, but you think again.
But if you think again,
Not if, but you think again.
but you think again,
But you think again.
don't follow them.
Don't follow them.
And you will win them.
And you will win them.
Whatever what we're given,
Whatever what we're given,
we do our really best.
we do our very best.
We only live with what we need and give Krishna the rest.
We only live with what we need and give Krishna the rest.
This is how to live, to work and to play. We learn to live this way and say Krishna every day.
This is how to live, to work and to pray. If you want to live this way, you can say Krishna every day.
When the time is up, your presence up above, we'll bring it down the end with our hearts full of love.
When the time is up, we'll bring it up above. We'll sing it again with the heart full of love.
Always understand, the only end is wrong, we can never become sane.
But can't become same, this always understand. It's the only way this world we can only become same.
Now please ask this greatest question.
Now please ask this greatest question.
Find this greatest clue.
And find this greatest clue.
You must learn to walk. No, you can only remember Krishna.
You can only remember
Krishna. If Krishna remembers you.
If Krishna remembers you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Jai His Holiness Srila Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Kishananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki Jai. Shri Sitaram Lakshman Bhakta Hanuman ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Chandra Premanande Hari Hari. Namo Vishwada Krishna Bhuta Vishwati Mahavishnu Goswami. Namo Vishwada Vishwati Bhakti Viran Swami Namo. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurani Prashanandi Vishesha Shanvari Prasadari Sarine. So Hare Krishna. Well, once again wishing all of you a very happy Ram Navami festival. We'll see you Krishna willing and Lord Ramchandra willing tomorrow. Not same place, but time is 7:30 in the night in New Zealand, 7:30 to 9:30. Till then, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna.